tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I'm gonna let this play before we enter. I love this song.
This is my move.
I'm gonna spare you guys from singing it just a little bit. Hi there, thanks for tuning in to the pilot episode after show for Manhattan Love Story. First one ever. I'm Sterling Cates, and with me tonight we have April Whisenhant and Eman Redwan.
Hey.
Hey ladies, thank you so much for filling in tonight.
No
We
problem.
usually are going to have a panel of 4, but these lovely ladies are offering their services tonight.
Yes, we
Thank
are.
you so much for that.
They're so kind.
you guys are just the best. You really are. Okay, so we have Manhattan Love Story. It's a new pilot this season. Tonight's first episode ever. What did you guys think?
Loved it.
It was so cute.
Yeah. I think it was super cute, and I think it has a nice little spin there of, you know, being able to hear what the thoughts are. It's not like your typical rom-com. It's really cute. And we open up with, so we have Peter, who's the main guy. He works for his family's, they engrave trophies and that sort of stuff. So it's like a family company, works with his brother and his sister, and his dad runs the place. So we didn't really get to know his sister and his dad too much this episode, so I'm assuming throughout the season we'll kind of get a little more there. What did you guys think about Pete? What were your first thoughts of Peter?
Hot.
Yeah, super cute.
He's
That was my
very
first
cute.
thought.
Yes.
I'm interested in Amon's opinion, because I feel like we always I'm always like, he's so cute, and you're like, really?
Well, I'm not a big fan of Mindy Project men.
Oh, yeah, like I am.
But he was actually really cute. I was like, okay. And his personality I really actually liked.
Yeah.
He comes off a little douchey, but I feel like he has a soft side.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that, like when he cried.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting that you say he comes off as douchey, because in the first scene we see him walking down the streets and we're hearing his thoughts.
Yeah.
And he's
super douchey.
and he's thinking about, and his actual thoughts, so like not coming off as douchey, but him as an actual person. These are his internal thoughts are like, yes, I would, you know, have sex with her. Like he's commenting on all the girls passing the street in his head. So that to me was like, oh man, are we gonna like this guy? It's like it's very a stereotypical kind of scene to introduce him as.
My roommate and I did the same thing.
Yeah.
As bad as that sounds, like we're not the ones. I mean, we do go by like the. Oh my gosh, I just forgot her name. Dana was doing, and how she was commenting on everyone's fashion and what they were wearing and that sort of thing. We do that, but we're also like, he looks good. I mean, you're in LA. You're where everyone's running with their shirt off and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Totally.
And so, but I liked that whenever he saw her for the first time, he was like, yes. Because even though he might be a little douchey, it kind of maybe he'll be less douchey when it comes to the right person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was trying to kind of being a little hard on him, like being like, oh God, he's so douchey, like doing all this stuff. But it's like, wait a second, I kind of do the same thing, like passing someone like, oh, he's really hot or he's super good looking, you know what I mean? So
definitely
can't really, you know, get off the ropes.
And I love it because it's real. This is what men do.
Yeah.
So it's like we can't really be mad at him for them showing us the real sides of men.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just what men do, like we were just saying, like women do it too.
Exactly.
So we can't blame them.
We're like more slick about it though.
Exactly.
Like
we're not just like, hello. But
Yeah.
like give him a little side eye or
Yeah, but even his internal comments towards the pregnant lady, he was like, oh, well, maybe,
probably.
but then, yeah, okay, yes. At the end. But so then we're introduced to Dana also walking down the street, having the same thoughts he is, but hers are directed towards the fashion and the purses, and, you know, whether or not, you know, she's having these like, oh my God, that purse. And we later find out that she had just moved to New York from Atlanta. And, you know, so it's kind of, New York is a very fashionable place. So she's probably like, oh my God, there's fashion everywhere. It's so different than Atlanta. You know, so she's probably having a little bit of culture shock there. But what were your first impressions of Dana when we saw her?
I thought she was cute. She seemed like the typical moving to the big city.
Yeah, I'm just a small town girl in a big old city.
Like
I love
all
saying
of
that.
us.
Yeah,
Exactly, like all of us.
Yeah.
Which is probably exactly like I looked when I first moved here. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
she's cute. You
exactly.
know, she's I think she'll be a good female character to get to
Lead.
know.
Yeah, I was totally able to relate to her. That's probably how I was my first week in LA. Like, oh my God, look at all the fashion.
Look at those shoes.
Look at all the nice cars.
Yeah.
The lights.
Yeah, I definitely think
so.
she's very relatable for, you know, like we were just saying, like small town girls moving to big old cities. I love how I said that again. But, you know, following your dream and kind of pursuing your career. And that's, I mean, what we're all here for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely relatable. And I really like her as a character. I think she was very strong this episode. And I think he was very strong. And they do have instant chemistry. on screen. So I really liked the two of them. So we learned that she is kind of living with her sister and her husband. Her sister's name is Amy, and the husband's name is David, right?
Wait, they're sisters? I thought they were just roommates.
Oh, are
in
they
college.
friends? Oh, they're roommates and friends.
They're sorority
Oh, that's
sisters.
right. And then his sister, he like works with the family, but it's just she's like living with her friend and her husband.
Right.
Okay, because I was thinking there for a second. I was like, that's kind of weird that it's like
brother and sister.
brother and sister,
Yeah.
brother and sister. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys
Yeah.
caught that and I didn't.
Yeah.
It happened.
But yeah, so she's living there with them at the time, and they're like,
We meant brother and brother and sister and sister.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
what we meant.
You guys get the point.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so she's only been there. She just moved there like what, like a week ago or
2 days ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just recently. And already they're trying to set her up, and they go ahead and tell her that Peter is going to call her, but really David hasn't even told him yet. She's like, hey, hold on, Peter, you really got to call her
So
sister.
typical.
Yeah, and David has this like weird fetish with the idea of that Amy and Dana hooked up in college or something, which again, me thinking they were sisters, it was weird. I was
I
like,
think
not
you heard sorority sister.
sorority
Yeah.
sisters. Yeah, that's right. It's basically the same thing, right?
I'm sure that's something that'll come out eventually over appleteenies.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about her first day at work. She goes in wide-eyed, you know, full hearts, can't lose. Little Friday Night Lights reference there.
Love
I
it.
just finished binge watching that season, that series. So she goes in. Someone just got laid off, is getting on the elevator as she's getting off. So pretty bad timing. Everyone is kind of a little salty that they're bringing in new people, but laying off, you know, the things. But she gets in that no one's very welcoming, which is kind of like a reality check. You know, you're not going to go to this big city and everything's going to be handed to you. It's not going to be easy. And especially in New York, the people aren't going to be the most welcoming.
That's what it's very New York. It's so, I mean, especially in that kind of field. She's a junior editor. Like, it's competitive. You don't want new people to come in. So, of course, I'm glad that they didn't just like sugarcoat it and make it be like, oh, work is awesome. That's exactly how a lot of places are. When I first started work, whenever I moved here, I mean, everyone was nice, but it was also like, all right, you have to prove yourself. So I'm kind of glad that they didn't like sugarcoat it and just make it easy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they locked her in the stairwell for Christ's
That was a bit
sake.
much. I totally related to it as well. Like when I first moved here, my coworkers didn't even speak. I would walk by and I'm like, hey guys. Nobody would turn.
Yeah.
So that's a very realistic storyline, and I'm glad that they stuck with that and not the typical like everybody's BFFs, and it's not how it goes. So
yeah, I'm also happy that for the first part of the episode, I was thinking, wow, like all of her internal thoughts, I would really want her to say them out loud, like because they're funny or they're, you know, they kind of stand up for herself, whatever. But I'm actually glad in the storyline at the workplace that she didn't kind of stand back, that she was upfront about, I just want to learn my job, like I'm here to help you guys, like I'm not after your jobs. So she did stand up for herself, and even when she came in the second day, I thought that she handled that really well.
Yeah.
Even though they, you know, made her climb down 40 stair flights stair flights.
it's like a sorority. There's like the initiation
Exactly.
process. You get that with every new situation you're in. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that she was able to stand up for herself, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that it's going to get easy for her? Like, do you think that the lady that she's working for is actually going to start helping her? Or do
No.
you think that she has like, okay, I'm going to make her think that I like her, but really I'm going to still mess with her?
I think she's got some time. She has to prove herself for sure. She
Yeah.
has to
It's
show,
not going to
like,
happen overnight. Right?
Yeah.
She
Well,
has
and
to
that-
show she's not the newbie.
Yeah, and that guy doesn't seem like he's going to be letting up anytime soon. That's
And
for
then
sure.
also when you're coming into a big city from you know, the South or a small town or whatever, people just don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
So
You
true.
have to prove yourself. And I think it's cute that she's like day 2, like, no, I'm here, hear me roar. But honey, you need to prove yourself a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that she is kind of starting down that path though, because she did get the script and she did do all the copy editing and all that stuff. So she's doing the work, she's putting in the time, and it seems like she really is motivated to follow her dreams. But I hope that but I mean, that storyline isn't going to be, I don't want her going in there and having a, you know, grand old time. It really does add to it.
They gotta make her sweat a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, at work, Peter is just Facebook stalking her, like looking at her profile pictures, thinking she's the ugly one. Yeah. And then the dad comes in and they have the same opinion and they're like pound it out. And, but meanwhile, what do you guys think about that? Like the sister and the dad. I don't even know their names. I feel like they didn't do a very good job of introducing them. But I guess, you know, it's first episode.
Yeah, hopefully we'll learn it soon. I mean, I liked that the relationship that the sister had with Peter kind of reminds me of the relationship that I have with my brother, because he's very, you know, he's tough and macho, but I can be like, no, Michael, you like this and you like this. So I like that he exudes a certain persona, but yet she actually knows how he really is. She's like, no, you try to act all tough and everything.
Yeah, they're super close and open and have good relationships. So
yeah, and she knows him inside out. Yeah, it's like that with me and my brother as well. Yeah, definitely.
So
I thought it was weird that they're like the whole family is working at that family business.
Yeah, I could not do that. I love my family.
It's like, doesn't anybody in the family have outside dreams that they want to follow?
Exactly. But at least, like, there's a difference there because he has this job security because it is, you know, a family business. It's probably like he's going to have that for the rest of his life. He might, you know, take over the company at some point. But her, on the other hand, she's still struggling to make it. Her job's not guaranteed. So that does, from the get-go, like, they are on different levels.
I want to see how he's living because his brother, his apartment
was
for
amazing.
New York.
For New York,
huge.
That's a few $1 million right there.
Yeah.
I was like,
so for an engraving, what is your position at this engraving company exactly?
Right.
So let's get into the Peter and Dana situation. So he's like, all right, fine, I will do this. I will ask her out. And he texts her. And she, instead of responding to the text, calls him, which, I mean, have you guys ever done that before? Or like,
I've never done that, but I've for sure called someone that I did not mean to call, or accidentally clicked on the wrong text message. That's like my worst fear, is texting someone something that they are just like not supposed to see. And I've done that.
I always, instead of calling somebody, FaceTime.
Oh, yeah. I've done that. Yeah, that's the
annoying.
Worst. When I hear that different ring, I'm like, oh, wait, no, I don't look right for that. But yeah, so like I've definitely texted the wrong person. Oh my God, the most embarrassing moment of my entire life. Well, not really.
This better be good.
Okay, not really. Not really. But I've definitely, oh my God, this is just making me like sweat. Yeah. I've screenshotted a conversation before and sent it to the person.
I've done the same thing. I've done the same thing.
Like your whole stomach just drops. So screenshotting it and sending it to the person
that you're talking about.
The conversation's with, and they were like, why did you just send me a picture of our conversation? And I was like, oh my God. I don't know how that happened. Technical difficulties over here.
It's only happened to me one time.
Oh my God.
It wasn't a big deal because it was just like one of my girlfriends. But that's my biggest fear with men.
No, this was like a guy I was talking to.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
Because, you know, instead of telling the story over and over, you just screenshot like, girl, look at what he said.
That was a couple years ago. That was a couple years ago, and I'm still like really up. I'm like, I haven't gotten over it. I don't know. I just kind of like, I think I was just like, oh, I don't know, ha. And then he was like, well, no, you would have to actually screenshot that and then intentionally send it. And I was just like, oh, I was just sending it to a friend. Like, there is no explanation for that other than that you were sending it to someone else outside the conversation. And so enough about me. That was just like one of the worst moments ever.
She updated her Facebook status instead of typing. No, I've done that before, but y'all, I caught it so quick. I was like, delete. But instead of updating or searching for someone, she clicked on the status part. Now that's just
Facebook
awful.
needs to fix that. That's one of my biggest fears as well.
It is pretty close to the search bar.
Oh my God.
The status box.
The problem is Facebook keeps changing the layout. So like I go on Facebook like every 6 months maybe. And I'm always so confused and I'm so careful because you don't want to be like Facebook searching somebody, and then you're like in your status.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to like a picture now. Like I like make sure to stay on the other side just so it doesn't accidentally.
Well, and
when
they're
you're
like
snooping.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because and I like that they did that, because I mean, let's be real. Today, that's the natural first step. If you're actually going on a date with someone, you do a little search.
Yeah,
and do a little
exactly.
stalking.
Well, I go to the page and I like go like this. Just look at pictures.
put your hands behind your back. But it is interesting because you see, you know, obviously he has already done his creeping on her, looked at the pictures, everything, but he doesn't get caught. But everything she does, she gets caught for. Putting him in the status, she's accidentally calling him.
Status.
And then she's like speaking in text talk when they're on the phone. She's like, all right, I'm just going to hang up. And then she sends a text message and he's like, all right, this girl is insane.
Yeah.
But he's doing the same thing, but way less, you know, he's keeping it cool.
About it.
Yeah, he's keeping it way cool. And for someone who's like pursuing being a magazine editor, you'd think she'd be a little more tech savvy. Am I right?
Yeah, it's 2014.
Yeah, but she's obviously nervous. She's like, dinner would like that's not.
I mean, she's from Atlanta. Just kidding. All my friends are from Atlanta.
What's the computer? No, I mean, I'm from the South. I can't really, say
We're
anything.
just fronting for the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so she has a terrible day at work, but they do set up this date for, you know, I said this when we were screening. I was like, why'd they set up the date for after her first day of work? Obviously, she's going to be a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But so she goes straight from having to go down the flight of 40 why can't I ever say that right? Stairwell, 40 flights, and then steps in that terrible puddle outside the garbage thing, thinks she sees a finger, and the whole thing. That's just really gross.
Does the first date ever go right? No. Like, it's always going to be something. Of course, like, he's going to see her checking her pit sweat.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Well, she's like picking her nose, looking at her teeth.
She had
checking her
no
thing.
tact. Like,
Yeah.
she just was all over the place.
Go to a bathroom. Don't do that right in front of the restaurant.
I personally would have rescheduled.
Yeah, just been like, you know,
It's
this
too
is not
much.
happening.
Yeah.
This is too much for me right now. Exactly. But anyway, she goes, she toughs it out, goes to the date. And so immediately you can already hear what they're thinking. You know, his typical stuff. Oh, I think I just saw a bra strap. She's totally coming over to my place. And she seems pretty smitten with him at first, too. Like, she's like, oh, he totally thinks I'm going to his place. I wish he wasn't right.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought they were super cute together. They obviously have that chemistry. The only thing that stood out to me was, do you think that, because in the first scene they cross each other and he's like, yes, and she's like, oh, he's cute. Like, don't you think they would have remembered that? Even when he was Facebook stalking her, don't you think he would have been like, because he did seem to be like very attracted to her on the street. So like, I feel like that would have been something that he remembered.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do that, because I feel like if you actually, you know, they like looked each other in the eye and then were shortly after Facebook stalking one another, I feel like you would kind of recognize the person. I feel like I would, but I mean, then again, it is New York City.
That's what I was going to say. I'm going to write it off as that being New York City and you seeing a million people.
Yeah, he just passed like 50 other women. Like, it didn't really stand out.
And also, when he was looking at her Facebook picture, she was in a picture with another person, so he didn't know which one she was, and it wasn't a great picture.
So it wasn't her hair looked darker. Like
and it was so far away.
Yeah. No, okay, we're gonna let that one slide.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like a destiny thing, like a typical thing. Like they see him before on the street, and if it's meant to be, it'll be like sort of thing. But so at the dinner though, they had the deaf guys like going around asking for money. Another welcome to the big city thing. So many people trying to scam you, and that's just kind of how it goes. And Peter totally called that guy out for that. So yeah, she was just like, oh man, you know, I'm just a small town girl.
Yeah. See, I was impressed that he called him. At first I was like, no, don't do this, because obviously, like, what if the dude is deaf? But I mean, it's just like you said, it's a lesson to her. People scam you all the time, sadly, in the city. So, you know, definitely a nice little shell shock moment for her.
Yeah. So then she brings out her little bucket list of things to do in the city since she just moved out, which I think is totally normal. Like there's still things in LA that I haven't done that I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I still haven't done those things. So I think I'm gonna make a list, even though I've been here for like 2 years. You know?
I still haven't gone to the Santa Monica Pier.
Really?
Like where everyone goes.
What?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I know.
We'll have to take her.
Yeah, we'll take you.
That's her spot.
Yeah, I feel like I'm there like all the time. It's so funny. But anyway, so he starts reading it, and this is where things get interesting. He starts reading it and is making fun of her, like Statue of Liberty, like making fun of her for how cliche it is, and obviously pulling out all the you know obvious ones. But I thought it was still thought it was still cute, but also I'm a girl, so here we are.
I thought it was cute, but I like that he kind of made fun of it because it's
kind of sassy. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, I think it's flirty.
It's not just being like, oh, this is so awesome.
Yeah.
But then she obviously had a little bit of a conniption.
Yeah, that was a little much.
Yeah.
Well, she just starts like breakdown crying, and he's like, "Oh my God, is she crying right now?" And she's like, "Oh my God, am I crying right now?" But so she's crying, then she starts hiccuping because she hiccups when she cries. Obviously, have you guys? So this seems like a terrible date already.
Yeah,
like crying at a date is just, I mean, that's as low as it gets, right?
That's
on a first
killer.
date, like it's. I mean, let alone crying alone by yourself, but crying on a first date with someone that you don't even know. Like, I can imagine.
Crying in public, period.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, even in her thoughts, she's like, you know, I can't believe, I can't even remember the last time I cried in public. But I was reading a few of the reviews on this show before we watched it, and it was just like, how realistic is this? Like, does this stuff kind of actually happen? Blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like, have you guys ever had something crazy like that happen to you on a date?
Thank God, no. But honestly, I mean, I get it, because there are certain days where something happens to you at work and you're with friends later, something comes up where you're just way more emotional and way more intense than you normally would be.
Yeah.
So I get it, and it just happens to be, you know, a terrible first date, and terrible that it happened to fall on that day. But I think it's believable. I mean, that's obviously, it's a show. They have to do something. So, I mean,
well, I totally get the feeling distracted and not being able to be like 100% there when she just had the day she had.
Yeah. Even the day that she had, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
She was being, it was, the storyline was definitely a little bit exaggerated.
Right.
And to me, if I was him, I would have been like, crazy.
Yeah.
Red flag, let me run. But like, he's coming back for more.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Well, I
but
think
he's forced to come back for more.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a TV Guide review, actually. And she had interviewed it was either a writer or one of the producers or something. And the guy working on the show said that all of the things that are happening on the date were inspired by people on the writing team's stories and that sort of stuff. They were all sitting in the room just like throwing out the worst stuff that ever happened to them on a date, and they kind of like combined them all together and made it. So it is realistic, and I think this stuff does happen. Like, you know, it's not, I don't go on that many dates. I'm not going to call myself out or anything. So I haven't really had an opportunity to cry on any of them. But, you know, I could see it definitely happening. But anyway, so then Amy finds out that, you know, this whole thing went terribly, and then she makes him come with flowers and apologize, gives him the whole script of things to say. And Eman, you said this when we were watching it. You were like, but he didn't do anything. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, what is he apologizing for?
Yeah, it did seem kind of like, all right, he's just obviously doing that. I'm surprised he went along with it, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For his brother, I guess, and just to like keep the peace. But I'm also glad that it ended up being like where he said, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm apologizing for, because it happens so often where, you know, a girl just thinks, oh, he did this and I was upset, so automatically it's the guy's fault or whatever. So I'm glad that he said.
He's like, honestly, I don't even know why I'm doing this. But he's obviously interested, though. He wouldn't go with it if he didn't feel like there was some sort of connection there, or if he wasn't interested. So, I mean, he was there for a reason. And he did a good choice of flowers. She loves lilies, and they were lilies, and he wasn't told to get those.
That was actually one of my favorite parts, because, you know, everyone always says, like, oh, you know, you can't just like buy something and make me happy, but it's so true. Like, a guy does something wrong and then he brings you flowers, and you're like, this is not gonna work. He's like, this is not, and then you're like, oh,
I'll keep the flowers.
You're like, but that's really sweet though.
Yeah,
so it definitely shows how a little bit of what girls actually really do.
Yeah, even though that, like, all of the stuff that's happened to her crying on the date, her catching him looking at her boobs, this whole thing, there definitely is that pull for them. Like, she feels it, he feels it, but I feel like they're trying to be like, no, it's not there, but there's obviously that little attraction there.
Yeah.
A lot of attraction.
A lot of attraction. Yes. So anyway, so then he's at work talking to his sister, and his sister like totally calls him out on, you know, she's reading the bucket list and she's like, this girl actually seems pretty cool. And he obviously wasn't reading all the cool things on that list. Like, some of them were really unique. It wasn't just go to the Statue of Liberty. Right. It was actually really cool things to do in the city.
And but even if it was to just go to the Statue of Liberty. She's brand new to New York.
Yeah.
This is what, you know, girls or even guys that are new to a city do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to explore. You need to explore.
I know, right?
But, you know,
Monica,
take me everywhere.
I'm going to take you.
every city I go to, I have a list of things I want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So he realizes that. He's like, oh, well, those are pretty good. Like, this girl is pretty unique. Again, has that interest there. Shows up at her apartment, and Amy's like, okay, I had nothing to do with this. You really want to look outside your window. He's there in a pedicab. He was like, it's number 72 on your list. So he obviously took the time to care.
Was so cute.
They go to the Statue of Liberty, and she's like, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Stay strong. And then she's like, all right, I'm going.
Yeah.
So they go, and then he starts crying at the Statue of Liberty.
Exaggerated.
Yeah, I was like, wait a
second.
second, what? So maybe it's something that he like. What did they mean by him starting to cry? Like something that he
it's an
takes for
emotional
granted.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, you can follow your dreams here, and then maybe it's just something he takes for granted, and he felt stupid for making fun of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was like, "Is he gay?" But then it
He's
seems
like, she's so into it.
yeah, that's funny that their thoughts were like not on the same.
But that's
page.
probably exactly what I would be thinking. I'd be like, wait, what's up?
Right.
Yeah. What would you guys do if a guy just started crying on a date?
Console him, I guess. But in my
Really?
mind, or I feel like I'd be like, it's okay, or you know, what can you do? But at the same time, in my mind, I'd be like, what the?
I would be
freak?
like, is my phone ringing? Oh my God, it's an emergency. Somebody died. Oh my God, I have to go.
You gotta remember though that she had already like bawled crying, made a fool of herself on the first date, so she kind of had to let this one slide.
Yeah.
I'd probably just pretend to not see it, and then like later on down the road, be like, remember that time you cried at the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, that's very funny. So they have this great date despite him tearing up a little bit. That was a little weird. But, and she goes back and she starts changing her Facebook relationship status, but it's like way aggressive. Even Amy's like calling her out on it. She's like, okay, you can't put single because then he's going to think you're not interested. And you can't put it in a relationship because that's creepy.
That's why you don't touch it.
Yeah,
It
just don't
needs
touch
to
it.
not be touched.
I love the shot of him though watching the screen
Change.
of it like changing. I don't know if it really does that, but
I just want to know who's still on Facebook.
I still have Facebook for
Okay, I'm
picture
the only
purposes.
person not on Facebook then, because
We gotta get you back on it.
I know, like I'm
Yeah.
missing out. It's crazy.
It's good.
it's used for different stuff now than
Yeah.
it used to be.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more. It's not as like social. It's more posting. I don't know.
What do you use it for?
I mean, I post like links to. That's where I put like all my pictures. I
Okay.
guess.
That's what mine's for. That's how I keep up with the people who I haven't seen or talked to in a really long time, and I'm like, oh, let's see how they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, you can learn all about their life, but it never fails that anytime like a big political issue or something like that comes up, all of my Facebook friends are all of a sudden geniuses and
Yeah.
know everything
that's
about
always-
politics.
always
So
a
that's
struggle.
another little Facebook.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know,
Always the struggle. So yeah, we end the episode. They went on a great date. She's, freaking out about her relationship status, which I think is a natural reaction for, I feel like a lot of girls overthink, or a lot of people in general. I don't know. I'm excited about this show because now we get to see what he's thinking and what he's doing. So we see him on Facebook. I'm interested to see like that guy's perspective of it.
Right.
It is very like Sex and the City-ish to me, but I like that they have the added guy's perspective and we're going to hear what he thinks. So, as a girl, it's going to be interesting to see what
As
really goes
single
on.
girls in the big city.
Yeah, exactly.
The better city.
Yeah. So what were your overall opinions now that we got through the whole episode? What do we think about, hearing their thoughts versus, in normal shows where we don't, that sort of stuff?
I liked it. I thought it was really cute. The entire time I was like, oh, I would so be thinking that, or oh, he would so be thinking that. I hope that they don't take too much, and this could just be because, just like you said earlier tonight, how you kind of have a little bit of a guy perspective. I kind of have the same thing where I'm like, whatever, let's do our thing for as long as we can, and then if it's something we really like. But I hope that they don't give her too much of the typical girl,
Right.
Like however, too
All
many
the-
cliches.
all the
like,
girls think,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, we have to update our status, and oh my gosh,
So
we're
what are
dating
we?
now, and whatever. Yeah.
Where's this going?
I hope they make her a little more relaxed than that.
I agree with that, and I also hope that they don't make him the typical douchebag,
Right.
like thing.
Where he,
There's definitely they kind of explore other, and don't really go the stereotypical way.
I really want them to not rush into it, because I think if they do rush into it, it's not going to last. I mean, it's only first week in New York. There's like billions, not
Yeah.
billions, but there's like billions of people in New New York. Like, you can have him as a friend and take things slowly and let it organically turn into something, and don't force it. You can't just, you know, just jump on board with the first guy you meet in New York.
Yeah. So off that note, since it's getting a little bit into predictions, let's talk about those.
Yeah.
Predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Yeah.
This reminds me of Halloween.
Yeah. Well, it's October tomorrow. Wait, are there 31 or 30 days?
October tomorrow.
Isn't that crazy?
10 days
Until my birthday.
Hey, girl. It's your birthday month. I can't believe it's already October. September just flew by. Okay, that's neither here nor there.
Side note.
Anyways, but yeah, going off that note about, you know, what they think and not moving too fast. I want for this season, agree with you, to not move too fast, but I also want to see, you know, like other guys try to date her and like what she thinks about, like, should she be honest with Peter and like how that's all going to play out. And, you know, I want to see her dating in the dating scene, but I feel like that's always going to draw her back to Peter. Like, I definitely think, you know, that's obviously the part of the thing, but it's a Manhattan love story. There needs to be obstacles. There needs to be other love interests.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it kind of reminded me of Sex and the City with the thoughts and, you know, the narration, all that. So I kind of want her to be like Carrie Bradshaw. Like, you know, he could be the big of the storyline, but explore, find your Aiden, find your burger and all of that.
yeah, exactly.
So,
I agree.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was super cute, and I really like her. She was the babysitter in Crazy Stupid Love. I remember when I saw the trailer, I was like, "That's the babysitter in Crazy." That's exactly what I said.
She looks exactly the same, dazed and confused.
Except with hair like mine.
Yes,
So cute.
So cute, so cute. Okay, well that pretty much wraps it up for Manhattan Love Story.
Yeah.
Is that
Awesome
it?
episode 1.
Yeah, it was good. I'm excited about this season. I think it's super cute, good rom-com. Definitely has a good spin on it. I do want to see, you know, exploring different personalities, not the typical girl, not the typical guy. And also I want to see her say some of these really funny things she's thinking.
Exactly.
Because the best part are her thoughts, and then what she's saying is kind of bland.
Like
Really
when she
weak.
called him out on looking at her boobs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad she did that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I
That was
love
an
her.
epic moment.
And when he was like, wow, that was kind of feisty, he likes that. See, I want her to say those funny thoughts that she's
Also, I
having.
want him to say those thoughts
Yeah.
too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Exactly, I do too. But then they got to make the thoughts, more interesting. But I do want what she says to be less bland.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, where can we find you ladies on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at April Whisenhant.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Imani Fresh.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the first episode of Manhattan Love Story, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next week.
We won't. She will. You will.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.